If all the world's a stage, Southwark Crown Court is 1,000 miles from Hollywood. The relief for Kevin Spacey palpable in the air as the double Oscar winner was cleared of 9 sexual assault charges. The man famous for Shakespearean monologues instead delivering a short and sobering statement.
I imagine that many of you can understand that there's a lot for me to process after what has just happened today. But I would like to say that I'm enormously grateful to the jury for having taken the time to examine all of the evidence and all of the facts carefully before they reached their decision. And I am humbled by the outcome today.
Kevin Spacey wept inside court as the jury found him not guilty of all charges. As he wiped away his tears with a tissue, he then let out a big sigh. This has been a long road. The allegations against Kevin Spacey first surfaced in 2017. Then he was at the height of his career, a streaming star on Netflix. But since then, he's lost virtually all his work.
At that point, I wasn't scared. I knew I hadn't done anything they could do me for.
Once the star of The Usual Suspects, Kevin Spacey became the prime suspect. After a series of sexual assault allegations were made against him, the Emmy Award-winning star told the court his world exploded.
I have agreed to appear before this committee today.
Fired from House of Cards. As he put it, I lost my job, I lost my reputation, I lost everything in a matter of days.
How are you feeling, Mr. Spacey? Positive about the outcome? How do you feel?
In this month-long trial, prosecution lawyers framed Kevin Spacey as a sexual bully. But the actor always maintained everything was consensual and that he didn't, as he put it, have a magic wand to wave every time he wanted someone to have sex with him.
Kevin Spacey spent more than a decade here as the creative director of the Old Vic Theatre, a role with serious cultural cachet. Now, it was during that time that 4 men claimed he abused them. Kevin Spacey had promised to bring stardust and inject life into British theatre. Instead, these men claimed he used his status and power as a gatekeeper of the arts to assault them, both in private and at parties, as one simply said that Spacey was hiding in plain sight. But after a month-long trial, a jury said they were not convinced.
In what many had called a spectacular fall from grace. After Kevin Spacey was in the most public way fired, he's now hoping to be hired once again.
Is Kevin Spacey completely damaged goods now, or do you think he'll work again?
Being found not guilty obviously is going to be hugely helpful to be able to say I was tried and the jury of my peers has found me not guilty. He can take that to insurance companies, to film production studios. Whether or not that will persuade them is difficult to tell.
Is there a market for, you know, what is now a long list of cancelled men in Hollywood?
I mean, Europe does seem to be a lot more forgiving. The Venice Film Festival lineup was announced this week. We've got some cancelled men on there, Woody Allen, Roman Polanski. Obviously, Johnny Depp was the star of Cannes in May. So certainly there does seem to be more of an appetite for men from Hollywood who've had some kind of fall from grace.
This was a trial which saw worlds collide as Sir Elton John gave evidence via video link from Monaco to Southwark as part of Spacey's defence. The jury were told not to be starstruck by the Emmy Award-winning actor sitting in the dock.
And then I blackmailed my boss for almost $60,000 past the asparagus.
Spacey has captivated audiences on screen, but in court the drama was at his own door as the star became emotional on the stand, saying he'd felt pressure to come out after sexual assault allegations first surfaced against him in 2017. Today, on what is Kevin Spacey's 64th birthday, the star walks free, but not unscathed.
Well, joining me live now from Gloucestershire is the celebrity PR and brand expert, Mark Bukowski. Cleared of all charges today, but a very public, very high-profile trial. It said he sees this as the beginning of rebuilding his name, his reputation. How easy will that be?
Well, it's not going to be easy, but Kevin Spacey has incredible powers. I mean, not only has he been a compelling actor on screen, but you mustn't forget, you know, his stage presence and what he's achieved both in London, on the West End, in Broadway, is a thing of marvel. So I think that it will be a journey. He's got to deal with a very long and tortuous sort of case that has proved his innocence. He's now got to find a vehicle for him to remind people of his extraordinary talent.
I mean, he said in an interview just last month, there are people right now who are ready to hire me the moment I'm cleared. But I suppose it depends which people you're talking about, which projects, doesn't it?
Yes, that's true. I think he will be a very big star, as Johnny Depp has proved, in the independent sector. There's a lot of independent movie makers, around the world who would want him attached to their project. And again, for theatre, a number of producers would rush to his door to see him on stage. If it's a big Hollywood studio, a big streamer, they might be slow to react, because obviously that brings huge risk. At the end of the day, he has to prove that the audience want to see Kevin Spacey again. And if he can attach himself to something that does something to the box office, then people will be attracted to him. But the big corporate beasts of Hollywood are going to be nervous, because they're not in the habit, when you are dealing with mega budgets, to take risks.
I mean, there were uncomfortable details raised in the court case. His own barrister talked about his life, saying not everyone would like the way he lived his life. Nothing criminal, we now know. But does that create noise around him that some production companies, particularly the very, very big ones in Hollywood, would just think, actually, we'll stay away?
Yeah, of course. But Kevin Spacey's got to prove that his box office, money talks. And also, he's got to have a very good, long, hard look at the way that he behaves, because there'll be massive scrutiny on that. And things have changed. We live in a very different world, and big power stars, cannot wield the sort of power that we have seen. Hollywood has got a history of that. We've seen it in the height of movies, even stretching as far back as the silent movie era, when the Hague Commission came involved in terms of behaviour. So, I mean, I think that, he's got to avoid hubris. He's got to evolve a bubble that might surround him, and he's got to attract some critical friends that perhaps will give him the truth that he needs, as opposed perhaps to where he was when he was all powerful, or where perhaps his ego was let to run wild.